Gary, first qualifying round of the FA Cup, a potential banana skin avoided today with a 4-1 win over Barton Rovers. What are your thoughts on the game?
Not easy games, Chris, are they? Because everyone's expecting you to win. You know, we had a tough Saturday, Monday where, you know, we had a disappointment here last week and we had to make sure we recovered on Monday, and that mentally can drain you. And you know, we was quite easy with them on Thursday in regards to the content of the training, but still with tempo, still with intensity, still working on a couple of bits that's required. And you know, I thought we started the game well again. I felt we were 35 minutes very much in control, very much, you know, again should have been 3 or 4 to the good. I'm not talking about clear chances, although we had good chances. We just executed or the wrong pass or the wrong cross or the wrong, you know, through ball, or, you know, our decision making when we got behind the line was just left wanting a little, just, you know, poor at times. And, you know, if we'd have been better in them moments, I think the game would have been over in them 35 minutes. But credit to the opposition, like these type of opponents do, they fight tooth and nail to stay in the game, which they did. They got themselves, I would say, a deserved equaliser, because you would have to say that in them sort of 5 minutes leading up to the goal, we just got a little bit loose and a little bit off of it, and we wasn't quite where we needed to be on first and second balls, especially ones into the box. And from source, again, when I say from source, I'm talking about the amount of needless free kicks we give away that allowed them to load the box. It just gave them a foot up, and we've conceded another poor goal where a couple of players have not taken responsibility. That again we're going to have to address, because that's not, you know, that goes back sort of right the way through. It's, you know, it's very much a different player every time, it feels like, Chris. So it's not one player not quite doing what they need to be. It's a collective. So we've got to address that again. But I thought second half, you know, we again took the game to them, and again execution, decision making, finishing could have been a little bit better, but we've managed to score 3 goals and not concede, Chris. So we've navigated ourselves through a very tricky fixture, because if you look, I think 5 teams have gone out from our division. There's 3 or 4 teams that are in draws as well. So they're not easy ties. So I'm pleased that we found a way to win. The scoreline ends up being a comfortable one, and on passages of play, you would say that's deserved.
We seem to enjoy a lot of good fortune on that right-hand side with Troy Howard this afternoon. Some of his crossing into the box, I mean, some of the crossings of the box for both sides was good, but Troy was outstanding, I thought. Yeah,
look, I think Troy gets himself into great positions because of his pace. We're looking to utilise that the best we can. You know, there's still aspects of Troy's game that he needs to improve, because it's, you know, it's at times he's just got to scan what is in the box. He's got to scan what other options he has. He's at the moment, he's got a tendency to, you know, square up, beat, cross, and sometimes there's got to be a bit of variation in his game. I thought Troy, you know, was a real thorn in their side, but it was Troy who found himself in so many good positions that if his execution and decision making was a little better at times, and I know on the eye they look like great crosses, and there is some really good crosses in there, but as a management team and as a group of players, you know, we are working on other aspects as well. You know, filling the box and picking players out. You know, there's certain areas of the pitch where it becomes a pass, not a cross, and we've just got to get that balance right. But I thought, you know, Troy was, you know, very, very much a constant threat, and, you know, and again he's chipped in with a goal, and, you know, and he's contributed massively.
We had an embarrassment of Riches on the bench to choose from as well this afternoon. A few people have said to me they were a bit surprised that Joe Taylor didn't start the game. What were your thoughts on that?
Look, I mean, every player has a, you know, sort of, there's challenges throughout the week. Joe hasn't been brought in like the other 16 or 17 players that we've got in the squad, 18 players in the squad brought in to be a sub, but it's circumstances, Chris. I think he played last Saturday, and we changed it on Monday, and we changed it on Monday with the 9, and Femi obviously scored 2 on Monday and was excellent. So if we would have had Jack fit, and, you know, and Tyrese fit, there may have been an argument to keep the same starting 11. Chris. I think, you know, Tyrese's is going to be 2 or 3 weeks, but we were just sensible with Jack. He had a tight groin, he didn't complete training on Thursday, and we were just really sensible with him. But outside of that, it was the 9 that really sort of contributed to the win on Monday that we felt we could go with, and that was very much the decision that you know, the management, you know, went with, and you know, in the end it's paid true. But like you say, the bench or game changers, should we call them, because it's something we've tried to instill in the change room with. It's such a strong group of players that, you know, we need strong players to finish the game as much as we need strong players to start the game, and we've got 16, 17, 18, 19 players, as I've just said, that are capable of being in that starting 11. I mean, we made an adjustment at half time because we just felt we needed a different dynamic in there, and we were already thinking about getting the 2 up top, you know, very soon. We nearly done it at half time, but we felt if we made that adjustment, then, you know, it would just give us something, a different balance in there, because, you know, we did feel as a management team that Blackie and Terrell are very similar players. They're very combative, there's loads of energy, they're enforcers, and, you know, they are comfortable on the ball, but they're enforcers and you know, and very much our destroyers as such in there, and protectors. And I just felt we needed something a little slightly different in there for the second 45, and I thought Charlie was excellent, along with a couple of other performances in the second half that really stepped up and played their part.
What importance do you put on a cup run? Because I mean, last year we went out early, but that gave us a chance to focus on the league, which has to be a priority. Have we got the squad to cope with both?
Yeah, I think with the 18, 19 players, as I've just said, we've got 20 players, Chris. Every game and every next game is the most important. We want to progress in both the FA Trophy and the FA Cup. You know, both of those we've come up a little shy. I mean, obviously in the first year we had that Sheppey disappointment in the 4th qualifying, but we are desperate as a changing room and as a management room to try and progress in this competition. Obviously you have to have a bit of fortune with a cup run, but there is a real mindset in our change room that we want to try and get to that first round proper, and give the football club, you know, the platform and the spotlight that it maybe deserves, you know, because when you get to the first round, if the draw is kind to you, you normally get the cameras here, and there's a long way to go before we get to that stage. There's 3 really difficult games in the way of that we have to navigate our way through, and as I've just said to you, you know, the draw's got to be slightly kind to you as well, because you can get served up with something really difficult from now on in. Well, all of the ties, as we've proved at times today, all of the ties are difficult. The FA Cup is renowned for upsets, and that was very much the you know, what I shared with the changing room pre-game. It's known for upsets, so, you know, we've got to make sure that whoever we're drawn against, we try and progress, because, as I say, there's 3 games between us and where we truly want to be.
And of course we've got Ramsgate next weekend in the league. How you fared for that injury-wise?
I think Jack should be back. I think we've looked after him today. You know, there was only tightness in there. He participated in the first 2/3 of the session, but he just felt it tighten up a little, so we just protected him today. Tyrese is a little longer term. We expect to have Alfie back out on the grass Tuesday and Thursday, really pushing. He'll need a couple of weeks of training because he's done no real pre-season. He's had a 6-7 weeks out now, so he will need to, you know, to step up his fitness, and we need to push him. But, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. Ben, again, he started to push himself on the grass on Thursday. Still a little bit away, but we're looking to have a, you know, strong working week. We may consider an in-house game on Tuesday to try and get some minutes into the players. There's 5 or 6 that we want to get bulk minutes into because they've missed a bit of pre-season. They found themselves on the peripheries of it a little, and I think it will serve its purpose for 5 or 6 of the squad. Not necessarily the ones that have played bulk minutes in the last 7 days, meaning the 3 games, Saturday, Monday, Saturday. We'll look after them Tuesday, but we'll keep you informed on that.
Gary, thanks very much. Congratulations.
You're most welcome.